The living room, where the family meets to discuss issues, any issue which may be bothering one of the family members. That's what we do each and every Tuesday on WAC 90.1 FM with Ricardo Mitchell and DJ Aaron868. We have casual conversations on serious topics, from sports to culture, mental health to economics, relationships to life lessons. Join us each and every Tuesday on WAC 90.1 FM. The living room, casual conversations on serious topics.
It is now 6 p.m. here in Trinidad and Tobago. I don't know what time it is where you are, but I'm glad to know you're locked on to the true nation station, WACK 90.1 FM, where we are
culture crazy.
First and foremost, let's kick this off as we always do. Must give thanks and praises to the Almighty for granting us the gift of life and seeing another day. No matter what time of day it is, you must always
give thanks.
Secondly, we must say thank you to those that went before us, and we are not just talking about our ancestors, the original inhabitants of Trinidad and Tobago, because we all know, accept, reiterate, and they say it would be chest that Columbus lied, but also to our brother in music, Tony Prescott, with a P. The speak stands for
prizes, Aaron, prizes.
You win a raffle?
Well, I didn't win anything personally. I stopped playing raffle since Form 2 when I went out chocolate cake that I still have yet to receive. So I don't really deal up with raffles and I'm kind of thing again. But one of our former guests was the recipient of the Hummingbird Silver Medal in education. You know, nice. So congratulations to Miss Naomi Adonis Woodsley. Right, she was the one who schooled us on Trinidadianese being a language.
Who schooled you?
Oh, you knew?
I knew, yeah.
You knew, so you just kept that information for yourself. That's why you didn't get no hummingbird. She shared, she cared, and she get the hummingbird.
Word, I'll take that. Really quickly as well, today is Republic Day.
Mm-hmm.
So happy Republic Day to Trinidad and Tobago. As much as we know we have plenty to improve on, we still have to be happy for some things.
Yeah, so I guess the P today is for potential.
Yeah, something so, yeah. The P this week is for also prevent, because we're here to talk about suicide prevention, and also God prevented us from going to that cricket this morning.
Yeah, I would have been thoroughly perturbed to have purchased a seat to observe such and such on this extreme weather.
Yeah, boy.
I hope all is staying hydrated, you know.
Plenty coconut water.
Alright, nice. But yeah. So TKR did not go into the final home game on a winning streak. I believe we doing the thing that we always do, which is adding some dramatic effect. My condolences, my prayers, my best wishes to DJ Bravo, who left the field unable to complete his innings. I believe he picked up a bit of an injury. Man, cricket has been an interesting thing. Republic Day has been an interesting thing. What other interesting things have been going on, Aaron?
The people precautionary. Be safe, please. And I'm not just talking about the crime situation. Just be safe in everything that you're doing, please. That is all.
I get that for somebody, babe.
I can't talk about it on air because of what it is. You know it is good sometimes.
Yeah, no worries, man. I mean, we had to respect privacy and thing too.
Yeah, that's another P. Hey. But really and truly, we're here to talk about prevention, and we have a special guest with us, a repeat guest inside the living room. She is no stranger, not just to our shows, but to our show. And we would introduce Dr. Karen Clay. Right? So, Ricardo, I know I'm putting you on the spot here.
Yeah, no worries. I don't really play. You clearly not in a position to be reading any bio, All right, so I will take it.
Yeah.
And by the time, hopefully, of Warish finish for the intro. Oh, by the way, Woman on Vibes 3 is coming up. I believe
Yeah.
it's early November. I will be most present.
We will be there.
All right. But without further ado, Dr. Clay has over 15 years of experience in mental health, specializing in clinical and organizational psychology. She completed her Master of Science and Doctorate in Psychology at Walden University, Minneapolis, Minnesota, and did her pre-doctoral and postdoctoral internships at public schools in Atlanta, Georgia. Her practice currently focuses on educational and organizational assessments and consultations in disability-related claims, psychoeducational evaluations, risk assessment, competence restoration, pre-operative clearance, pre-employment examinations, evaluations for behavioral issues and intellectual challenges, ADHD, and autism. That is probably half of the bio. All right. Wow. Well, let's put it this way. I'm pretty certain that the next time we have her on, we'll be able to run through the second half of it. But again, Dr. Clay is no stranger to the living room. I believe she's one of these people who's earned by now a room upstairs. Right? If I'm not mistaken, we had her on earlier this year. If I believe it was in February. Right. So yeah, let's not waste any more time in the dalliance of introduction and bring into the living room Dr. Karen Clay.
Welcome to the living room. Welcome to the living room. Welcome to the living room. Welcome to the living room.
After that lovely introduction that we haven't heard in a while from Vorish, we are back, and we are joined as advertised this evening by Dr. Clay, where we are going to try to have a casual conversation on the serious topic that is suicide prevention, as the theme for Suicide Month for 2024 is changing the narrative on suicide. Right? And that's what we are here to do today. So, Dr. Clay, we're going to ask you probably the most difficult question you're going to get inside today's interview, because it's not about the topic, it's about you. We are asking you, what's the gist, therapist? What's the word, hummingbird? We are asking you, how are you?
I love it when you guys ask me that. And you know, the first thing that comes into my mind is always to say, blessed and branding. I don't know why, but that's usually the first thing that comes into my mind. I am always blessed and totally trying to ensure that we put mental health as a brand. That is a good thing for you to have mental health awareness. So I always say blessed and branding. I think I stole that from my sister, but that's okay. Good one.
She's not listening tonight, so it's cool.
Probably not.
but she will probably catch the replay in the archived episodes on DJ Aaron's DJ Aaron868's YouTube channel, the living room playlist. So yeah, you might only get away for as long as it takes her to go online.
Probably.
Yeah. And I agree. I totally support the idea of mental health as a brand. And I do some work with that as well, and I think it would be awesome if you and JL got together. We'll work on that.
Oh, that would be great. Love JL, by the way. Yes, totally have worked with her in the past. So,
I'm not going to say, if my memory serves me correct, I think that is how this connection was initially made. So it's for them to get back together as opposed to getting to meet each other.
So I don't have good ideas. I'm just Captain Obvious in out here. Yeah.
If you want to put it like that, that's pretty fine.
Ooh-wee. Yeah, this is where I'm going to actively listen and let the adults have the room.
So, Dr. Clay, let me preface the first question with a bit of history as to what has been taking place on social media over the past couple of weeks. Admittedly, it has not been a good couple weeks, literally, for anybody with the name Terrence.
Oh my goodness, no, it has not.
Right? And one of it has been an instance of genuine misfortune. and one was an instance of self-inflicted misfortune,
Yes.
for want of better words, right? But initially, when social media was birthed, however long ago, probably a lifetime ago, right? It was a place where information was to be shared for updates, for keeping up with friends, for the occasional joke, whatever it may be, or to follow your favorite sports teams, like Ricardo and I avidly do with the West Indies cricket team. But now, social media has become a space where slander and peacock reign. What are some tips that you can share with us to maintain our sanity while browsing the various platforms?
Okay, I wish I could say that, as you eloquently stated, that it was a place of us to find information and make connections with family and friends. I wish we could go back to that time, because now, sadly, it has become a place where negative content seems to dominate and they seem to reign. What I would share with all of you is that we need to start setting some boundaries. You know what I mean? Limit the time you spend on social media. Make it intentional that you're going to consume content that is positive. Follow people that are going to be motivating and inspirational. Because there's this special algorithm, whatever it is, and obviously who you follow and the things that you watch a great deal of. And when Facebook and wherever asks you, do you want to see more of these reels? Yeah. Please recognize that you are also going to be looking at the stuff that other person also has stated that they want to see more of. So it's not just only what you've chosen, sometimes it's what your friends have also chosen. So you can follow accounts that uplift you, inspire you, that give you constructive information. Mute the people, unfollow people who give you stress and anxiety. I mean, my goodness, I think I was 16, 17 or something, when somebody said, I don't want to be your friend anymore. And then I was in my 30s when someone said, I am not going to be your friend. I'm going to unfollow you. Oh, okay. Go ahead. Thank you very much for saving me that extra energy bill of you feeding me information. So yeah, be mindful of your browsing, before you react, because you're filled with emotion. I know so many people with Terrence, and I don't mean to keep mentioning him, but so many people immediately after they saw that, they were reactionary. They were like, oh my gosh, your man was this, and they were sending all of this stuff on to other people. So be mindful of what you're doing when you're browsing. Be mindful of who you choose to follow and engage with and start a conversation with and put a comment on. This is one of the ways that you can protect your mental space. Just don't follow bullies. Don't follow people who continue to slander. Don't just look at pessimistic news. Those are the things that'll attach themselves to your reels.
Now, the reason why we are starting tonight's conversation with social media, it's because social media is the space where a lot of us tend to spend our time. And we in the living room firmly believe that your diet is not just what you eat, it's what you consume. And as social media is part of our daily consumption, we have to now learn to navigate it, because the bad side of it is that some of us may navigate well and be able to manage the negative comments and the negative diet, whereas others may take that negative diet and allow it to impact us terribly, to the point where we may need to seek counseling, or even worse, we may self-harm. So that's why we're kickstarting with social media as the crux of that, not I should say the crux, but the starting point of today's conversation. I was going a whole totally different way, but I had to reel myself back in there. Okay, Ricardo?
Yo, listen, so this is me being 100% supportive of the direction that you're heading in. I'm actively listening, Aaron, as I'm very well known for. Actively listening and 100% supportive. So your apology was unnecessary.
Okay, Ricardo. Now, the next part of it
as we spoke of the negative comments and things like that, is we're going to move on to the fact that there are persons that reach out for help via social media platforms. And every time we speak about this, the memory of the young man who was live tweeting while he was having suicidal ideations comes to mind, right? So then I pose to you, Dr. Clay, social media is also a place where some persons who are in peril reach out for help. What are some of the signs we could look for to identify if somebody, and I have to say this very carefully, someone is genuinely seeking help? Because we know it have those who will be tweeting for attention. I shouldn't say tweeting, posting for attention.
Yeah. And it's not always that, right? So I would say sometimes you would see people with posts about feeling hopeless, right? So they're, saying that they're feeling like their life is meaningless or that they're a burden to their family and friends. The posts like that, definitely look out for, especially if that's not a norm for that person. So if they have sudden behavior changes. So we know there are people on social media that give us every single heartbeat, every time they cook, every time they do certain things. If all of a sudden there's a drastic shift in the usual posting habits, such as no longer are they posting all these upbeat posts and, how to cook curry chicken and whatever the case may be. Now they're posting, some dark, negative content, things like that. It has to be like drastic. You're like, but that's not how that person normally does. And you can see there's a definite change in their routine and in their habit with that, right? Most people start crying out for help where they might indirectly post how much pain they're going through. They feel like they can't handle life anymore. Or something as simple as all of a sudden they start saying goodbye. They're thanking all their family and friends. Thank you so much for all your support. Thank you so much for all the things that you've done. If you see somebody doing that and you're like, where's this coming from? Or saying, I have something, come by the house, I have something for you, that I'd like to give you. They're all of a sudden starting to give away things that were precious to them, or sharing, if this person hadn't come into my life, all of these things wouldn't have happened. I want to say thank you. I want to say that it's not your fault that, maybe I wasn't successful. It's not your fault. And they're forgiving people and thanking them and saying goodbye, moving on. Things like that we have to definitely watch out for. That person, you need to privately contact them. You need to reach out, pick up the phone, go knock on the door, because that is so out of character. So it is a flag for you to be like, oh, let me pay attention. And not only just strangers, sometimes it's your own children in your house that the only time you connect with them is watching their posts on social media. I know many parents who are like, my kid doesn't talk to me, so I follow them on social media so that I can see what's going on in their life. That's real. That is so real, is what's happening in our world right now. That's sometimes the only way kids communicate. So you need to listen when you notice that it's outside of their character or their behavior. That's the only way they know how to talk.
If Dr. Clay, I appreciate that information. And what has come to mind is that we've had conversations a bit like this before. This is not a new space for us, particularly in the living room. I believe our listeners know how seriously we take mental health and mental health issues and even communication. There's something that is pressing on me, and I have to ask. You are saying that if these things are out of character, I would like to address a bit of an elephant in the room, that there are people who do exhibit attention-seeking behavior.
Yes.
As part and parcel of the everyday posting personality. There are people who are manipulative and use these flags intentionally, sometimes to lock people into relationships, sometimes because they've identified, they know that absent the appearance of trauma, they might have no interest, they might have no identity outside of those spaces or that view. These are realities that we have to face. And because we're so overwhelmed with social media and availability and access, sometimes we fall prey to the little boy who cried wolf. There are so many people who are doing these things that we become a bit desensitized to the legitimate
Cries for help.
pleas, the legitimate actions. And is there how do we buffer? How do we buffer that? It ties in the two questions that Aaron asked already, right? How do we protect ourselves from becoming desensitized to these attention-seeking and manipulative behaviors and still be sensitive enough to recognize when someone is legitimately in a bad place?
I would say to each and every person that you start off with being that somebody, you believe that person until they prove you wrong. You know, and they say, I will give and be there for individuals until they show me their true selves. And that doesn't take away from the fact that I will always be this person that I am, a giving person. And I cannot control the fact that some characters, there are not, and I don't want to say, I was going to say the word, because I don't want it to seem as though everybody's only pointing at that specific individual. But let's say an individual who's being manipulative, right? And you've had that experience. So many of us have had many adverse experiences within our lives with different forms of people, different forms of personalities, and people who are out to hurt you and, you know, use you. But if you go through life making the assumption that everyone is out to hurt you and use you, then we're starting to delve into a different level of, you know, anxiety, stress, a different level of you basically not being trusting. We're digging into a different realm of mental health that we don't want you to live in, because yes, you know, you have to take the chance to trust. You have to be vulnerable at times. I know many individuals choose not to, but then part of what makes you human is now cut away. So we have to believe that somebody needs help until they prove to us that, you know, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I just wanted to use you. Wow, I'm so sorry that you chose to do that. But if you do need my help in the future, I will still be here for you. Not every patient who calls me walks into my office and actually gains help. Sometimes somebody just calls to just shoot the breeze, or as they would say, you know, I just thought of you and I just want to say hello. Great. I'll take the time to listen to what you have to say. But if that person is just like, well, I just want to keep calling you, you know, every 15 minutes and see if I can get some care. That individual, I'm going to try to reach out and find someone, because they need someone. And I can't take the chance that I'm assuming they're just trying to manipulate me. What if they actually need me at that point? So I'm going to help until I can't. So I don't want you guys to get cold and heartless and, you know, as you say, build a scab over your feelings because you don't want to be hurt. We can't always control that, but we can learn from the behavior. We can recognize when somebody only calls you when their rent is due. We can recognize when you are a booty call, and that's the only time your phone, you know, the glass is broken and they call you to get that level of attention, and the person they really want comes along, then you're dropped to the wayside and things like that. Not everybody who gets a hamper is actually hungry, you know, but are we going to stop giving out hampers? No, we're not. You know, there are people that are going to use the system. We just hope they're not the ones that's going to stop Dr. Clay from wanting to help people who are not changed. We would like them to change, but we want to do our best to ensure that we reach the people that really need help. And we can't always guess that.
Wow, and this actually reminds me of a scenario which I encountered either last week or week before on work, where someone would have called saying that a friend of theirs is in distress and wanted us to reach out and respond. And when you hear that, it immediately, the function to save immediately kicks in. So you make the attempt to reach out to the person. And just as Dr. Clay said, and you alluded to Ricardo, you reach out to that person and it's like, nah, me want to help and I good. And in the back of your mind, it's, but somebody called and said you needed help. So this is our response to reach out to genuinely see what's wrong and if you need the help. Now, well, there was just fussing, and I just say that to make sure they come off my back now. And again, those are some of the real life scenarios which companies that deal with these kinds of issues face.
Yeah.
That people call in genuine concern, and when you reach out to the person, it was a manipulative attempt to quell a situation. I tried my best to give the example without giving any information.
Yeah.
Because you know how it is go, right?
Yeah. But also at that point, they may have been upset and embarrassed. You have to always think, is there something else? I guess for me, I'm always thinking, okay, I called now. They didn't come to me, because obviously I can't force anyone to come and get help from me. So when family call and they say, I really think, my cousin or my brother really needs you to speak to them. I said, I don't mind calling, but I can't make them take my help. I can't. So all I can do is offer. And so how I would have probably closed that conversation is, well, just in case you may, things are okay now. And I am so happy things are okay now for you. And I hope they stay that way. But just in case they're not, here's my number. You can call me on WhatsApp. It's free. Here is my number. And I am putting your number. I usually tell them I'm putting your number now and creating a contact with you. And if I see it, I promise you I will call. Even if I have to just get on and say, give me 5 minutes because I'm driving in the car. Give me 5, just give me 5. I just need to get you to stay on long enough so I can get to talk to you. So I would say, even with those people that turn away the help, you still need to provide them a back door or a crack in the window so that they know they can still come in. You know what I mean?
Yep. You're looking pensive there, Ricardo.
Yes.
That's actually the face I was born with. The doctor didn't slap me; he shook my hand. I'm a thinker, Aaron. I'm a thinker. Man, I was having a discussion with some colleagues at work, and they were commenting on something that someone posted on social media, and the exact words were, "But how you go post something like that though?" And my response was, when you don't have someone to speak to, you tell everyone. You tell anyone. Guys, and we said it in last week's episode, right? There are things that once you put it online, once it leaves your device, it is irretractable.
Yes, it's gone.
There's no getting it back. There is no taking it down. Even if you send single view images and stuff, someone could still tape that. They could still record it. Hear me taping. Yeah, they could still record that via another phone. Once it's out there, it's out there. My response, my follow-up to that statement was, find someone to speak to. Find someone to speak to. There are a lot of people who are posting things to who's ever reading, not just because of the dopamine hit that they get when somebody sees when somebody sees the post, but because it makes them feel seen. Find someone to speak to so that you don't end up trying to tell everyone. You open up yourself to so much potential ridicule, backlash, rejection, judgment. There are so many things you open yourself up to, and in these moments where you have to get this thing out, that you don't have someone to tell. Yeah, I've been a huge advocate for healthy outlets. And as I'm getting older and a little more experience, I'm realizing that, listen, if you're not comfortable talking to a therapist and you just need to go for another touch-up by a barber, you go by a barber, you go by a hairdresser, right? You go and pull small talk with the barista, right? What I'm saying, ideally, speak to a professional. Ideally, speak to a friend. But as opposed to just going online and just throwing this thing out there in this moment of necessity, please find someone to talk to.
Now, I'm glad you brought up that point, Ricardo, because for some of us, our village is online portals and platforms.
That's true. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. And as we alluded to, I can't remember how many other episodes ago, but if you really want to check out how much episodes ago it was, you could go on the archived episodes on YouTube. But the curating of our friend circle is something that not all of us are gifted with or gifted to possess.
Yeah.
Right? So I ask you, Dr. Clay, and it's a two-part question. How important is the support of your village in one, dealing with mental health issues, and taking it a step further, dealing with suicidal ideations?
Wow. First, I don't know if everybody knows what suicidal ideations are. So that's usually if you're having these thoughts of death and dying, if you're feeling like you're trapped, like there's no way out of your current situation, if you start withdrawing from others and all you're doing is talking about dying, you're openly, or even subtly talking about dying, so those thoughts are constantly running in your head. So that's suicidal ideation. So if you're having these suicidal ideations and you want or need the support of your village, your community, just your villages, your family, your friends, individuals who are around you, who are going to show you compassion and empathy when you're struggling. Okay, we're not talking about somebody who's just like, oh gosh, you're always saying that, you're always talking about me. I want to hear that. We don't want that person. This person or these people have to be individuals who are loved ones, and they can keep an eye on you if you need help and when you're trying to get support. When you don't feel strong enough to seek out the help and support for yourself, you need to know those people have your back. Right? You want to make sure that if you're looking for that, surround yourself with those people. If you can't seek out professional help, or you don't have access to it, and I don't know everyone's situation, but you need to make sure you have individuals that can prop you up. We're not talking about people just to give you money or whatever, but to go with you to the doctor, to take you there and be like, I'll be out here, or if you want me to come inside, I'll be in there with you as well. Having that group, having those individuals who are going to listen to you and not be like, she's always complaining about that, or that's just the way he is, he's not going to do anything. Always lean on the side of caution of, we don't know if this isn't that time. We don't know if this isn't that moment that their plan that they've made. And if somebody starts telling you they have a plan, they know, and you ask the question, well, how are you going to do this? If they have laid out and you can literally see they've thought about this, that person needs you to not leave, to be there. That person needs you to go into their room and remove sharp objects. That person needs you to go into the bathroom and remove all pills that they can OD off of. That person needs you to be there. And if you cannot be there for an individual that way, you find somebody who can. You call someone who can, if you know that you're not able to be there for them. I mean, there's so many different ways that we are able to predict certain behavior with people. And I know this is probably not even part of what we're talking about, but ACEs, I don't know if anybody knows about adverse childhood experiences and things like that. And there's a specific test that we are able to do to see in adults the experiences that they had, and if they're more prone to certain behaviors or more prone, to certain at-risk behaviors, especially when it comes to suicidal ideations and things like that. So it's not like this is the first time you're hearing it. If somebody is planning on attempting to be and I hate using the word successful or completing a suicidal attempt, you can go back in reflection and be able to pick out periods when that person is like, help me, please. I need somebody to stop me, please. I have no other way out. And you can think at that moment, was that the time that I walked down the hallway and said, "Hi, Aaron, how you doing?" And kept on walking, didn't even pause to find out how Aaron was doing. You know what I mean? Why did I ask? Just something to say? But yeah, see you later. We have to have lunch, let me lime later now, okay? The person is like, yeah, I really would like to lime later. I would really like to sit and talk with you. But you just kept walking. Think about those moments when somebody actually said help. Did you stop? Did you pause? Did you tell the other person, you know what? I could talk to you, we could talk about this thing a little bit later. I really want to find out how Aaron is doing. I'll check, and now I'm going to sit down and listen to how Aaron's doing. See that? That is the important part with our village. They need to recognize when we need them to stop and actually listen.
Sorry, two things came to mind there. One, for that village to be a successful village, there needs to be a level of friendship past the superficial.
Mm-hmm.
I need to, and I'm going to liken this to one of our local influencers, Kivo. He always says that you should have certain levels of friends. Your gallery friend, your living room friend, your bedroom friend.
Yeah.
If all you have is gallery friendships, your village is not going to be successful. You need, we say it here all the time, you need to create your circle, create your village, whatever you want to call it, to be able to open up and be vulnerable with your friends. You also need to know your friends. So if I know a day Ricardo just come and tell me, boy, I watch a Man U game and it was the best thing ever, I know that is the biggest red flag, and I need to sit down with Ricardo and be like, is everything okay?
Mm-hmm.
You need to learn about your friends.
If you hear me say I ain't feeling for no roti today, nah? Yeah.
Yeah, boy, something wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or doubles.
But no.
Yeah, fed up with doubles, boy.
What?
Yeah.
Yes.
You hear them things, you see that on my phone, you reach out.
No, you said that just now and I get worried now.
No, that's what I'm telling you. Dr. Clay, Mr. Williams,
Mr. Mitchell.
I hear all there, no? I hear all there.
Yeah.
But dude, we are over. Me, right? I can't be everybody living room and bedroom friend.
No.
I cannot be everybody go through a tea. To paraphrase one of Aaron's statements, that you can't make everybody happy. It's not go through a tea, right? I want to help. I want to be available. I want to do lunch. I want to take the call. I want to respond to the message. I want to do this. are not exaggerating here. Anybody who functions in the space, either via training or because the spirit led, it is an exhausting thing to be this person to that many people continuously, or at least very regularly. Right. One of the first things you said, Dr. Clay, when we were speaking earlier, was about establishing boundaries.
Yes.
And sometimes we have, well, I want you to understand something here. It's going to sound very counterintuitive, and I apologize, and I am subject to correction if necessary, Dr. Clay. But part of our mental health care for others is making sure that we are in a position to be able to help them. I have failed before where I have said too many yeses, I've taken too many calls, I've had too many lunches, I've extended myself in the belief that that person needed this thing at that time, and then I find myself irritable and becoming withdrawn, acting out, becoming impatient, because I was trying to serve from a place of compulsion, because what if this is that time? Right. So in terms of helping the helpers, I don't know if you could probably give us one or two ways of identifying when we need to take that pause, when we need to say, listen, I don't know if I could, how can I tell somebody I don't know if I could take this call right now. I don't know if I could. How do we do that? Saying establishing boundaries is all well and good, but how do we do that when this is the scale, the potential scale of consequence?
I would say to you, Mr. Mitchell, you need to make sure your cup is full. And I know when people are like, oh, self-care, make sure, but you literally have to sometimes put into your calendar self-care. I am saying that because I am speaking to myself. I have my calendar for every single thing that I do. My focus time on my calendar is me, okay? So my focus time has to happen at least an hour to 2 hours per day. This has to occur before I lay me down to bed, because sleeping isn't the only that's not it. It can't be it, because that's not the only time that my cup gets filled, right? So I follow this 7 times 7 times 7 type of rule for myself. I love the number 7 anyway. That's my own personal thing. But I believe in, taking 7 minutes in a day, to count my breaths, to get myself grounded. Especially, I love rain, love watching rain, sitting in the gallery and watch. I just don't like thunder and lightning. But sometimes during the day, I would say, okay, in my calendar, there is 7 minutes, 7 meditation minutes, however I choose to meditate, whatever that means. If it means just getting a cup of hibiscus tea, sitting on the couch and enjoying that tea for 7 minutes. I don't think you guys recognize, even if you're eating a fruit, how to do it mindfully. There's a difference between you just eating a mango and sucking a mango and it's done. But literally focus in on the texture, the taste, how it makes you feel. Is it sweet? Is it sour? You literally are doing something mindfully, consciously. You're doing whatever it is that you're doing. Every 7 days, I believe in you take yourself on a date, some mini cheap date, be it coffee or yourself on a date.
Or double, or KFC.
Whatever it is. But you have to make sure you, all jokes aside, that you literally pen in, not pencil in, pen in, permanently marker in to your calendar, your self-care, where you are refilling your cup. So that, because especially in my line of work, I have to make sure I'm refilling the cup. I am also a daughter, a mother, a wife, and a sibling. So I recognize even outside of my career, there are others who are coming to get their cup refilled by me as well. So I have to make sure I have taken care of myself in some way. You know, that 7x7 rule. Every 7 months, I'm on a vacation. Every 7 weeks, I really focus in on making sure I take care of me, right? And I have to do that because then I cannot help others. So, yes, I know you can't be there for everyone, but in making sure you're there for you, in making sure you recognize when you're like, I have to put the shingle up, we're closed. And I'm going to be closed for 2 days. And I have to put that message onto my machine or in my email, then I am out for 48 hours. And in being gone for 48 hours, here I have given you a place you can call if I am not available. So I still leave something there for that person to be able to hold on to, and they know that they're not alone. And that's including my family members. I am not able to be here for you at this time because I am being there for myself. So in doing so, but I made sure that in case you need me, you can call, be it somebody at T-Top, if it's one of my patients, or if it's a family member, they would already know, and I'd be like, I will be back at this time. So, don't worry. At least making sure they're not concerned that something is wrong with me, right? Okay, and that kind of thing, because I don't want that on anyone's shoulders. So in saying all of that, we have to make sure that we're filling up our cup. So yes, I need you to make sure that you have put things in daily. Can you say to me that you can commit daily to putting in pen, filling your cup, making sure you find ways to fill your cup? Can you commit to that?
Me?
Can you commit to that?
Can I commit to that? Yes, I can commit to that. And now I could see because Dr. Clay said so. Right? I'm sorry. This Dr. Clay told me to.
Yes, and that's why you're good.
Yes.
Yes.
And
yes.
she, so they'll be like, "You seen a therapist?" I'll be like, "She told me to." Right.
Might be seeing the same one. Well,
she told me to. So yes, thank you.
Try a 7-second hug. 7 seconds people think is like that. It's not.
Not.
Try hugging yourself or hugging someone else for 7 seconds. And I promise you, by the end, your serotonin levels would be going skyrocketing. You'd just be like, oh, all of a sudden, I feel so good. Yes. 7.
That was not dead air earlier. We was literally doing 7-second hug. But I also heard the principle as well as the 7-second kiss.
Yes, same thing. I didn't want to say that. I didn't know if it was appropriate, but yes. But like I do with a lot of my couples, I literally say, hug each other, kiss each other for 7 seconds. When it's really deep and connection is missing, sit and stare at each other for 7 minutes, just looking in each other's eyes. Nothing other than just looking at each other, in each other's eyes for 7 minutes. And actually reflect on, do you feel more connected? Was it difficult for you to do? Why was it difficult for you to do? Why did you feel uncomfortable being vulnerable with this person who you've chosen to say you spend the rest of your life with, right? Those kinds of things. Yeah. Well, that's a different show, Aaron.
I know how to say, Dr. Clay, did you listen to our last 2 episodes?
No, I did not.
I feel like she's been listening to our episodes.
Oh my God, no, I did not.
Those are some of the things that we have been stressing for the past 2 weeks. That if you can't sit in silence in your own thoughts, how could you be someone's husband, wife, or life partner? Sadly, we are getting not even getting very close. We are at the end of tonight's program.
Yes, but okay.
We would love to have you back sometime over the next couple months because Mental Health Month, and then by extension, Men's Mental Health Month. So
That's what I really want to be there to support. Oh my God. Our men, I am so sorry. I am so sorry that you do not feel safe. You feel vulnerable in sharing your feelings. I need you to know that there are people out here that are not going to ridicule you, that are going to validate your feelings, that are not going to say, oh, you should man up, you should, all of this kind of stuff. But I know that's another episode, and I want you to know that we're here. We're here.
Okay. So before we leave, Dr. Clay, we know you have your practice Higher Potential for Learning. So persons can check you out on www.higherpotentialforlearning.com. You're also on the various social media platforms. And just luckily, because WAC is such an international station where we broadcast to the world from 129C Coffee Street in San Fernando, you should be the one to tell them that if you are in the US of A, where can they check you out?
In Houston, Texas is where I am right now in the US of A. Yes, and the main reason for that is so that I can come and see my patients in Trinidad on one flight. That is the main reason I moved to Houston, Texas. But I have a wonderful Caribbean population that are extremely supportive in Houston, Texas that I would share more about. And I still would like you guys to stress the Grapho game. Free for people to download.
I have been getting persons to download it, and they have expressed that it has helped with their children with the enunciation and pronunciation.
Yes.
I can't speak for the other stuff here, right?
No.
So, Dr. Clay, thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to spend with us inside the living room. It is always a pleasure to have you here, and it's a shame that persons don't get to see or hear the conversations that we have before we start recording, because boy, oh boy, are they interesting. Ricardo.
That was outside the living room. That might actually be another show you can have outside the living room.
That would never make it to radio, trust me. But thank you very much, Dr. Clay. We would reach out to have you back on for, if you said Men's Mental Health Month, we will do that with you. Ricardo, anything you want to say before we hand over to Mr. Desmond with the big band?
I want to thank Dr. Clay for helping me with that. I do struggle with being intentional about my self-care. I need to maintain my integrity. I can't be telling people to do this thing and then not doing it myself. So thank you for that. I will use integrity to overcome guilt. I also want to take the opportunity, as we on the topic of how hard it is for men regarding the safe spaces, to invite you guys to join me. Yes, me. Along with several other gentlemen. We have Mr. Hazley Placid, Dr. Dominic Dos Santos, and Kivo himself. We will be having an afternoon and evening called I Am My Brother's Keeper. Right, I Am My Brother at the Fresh Press Cafe. It will be on October the 10th from 6 p.m. And it is for that. It is a men-only event. Right, we're gonna have some conversations, we're gonna have something to eat, something to drink, we're gonna spend some time just unpacking some things, or just, getting to know other people who might be going through some of the things we're going through, or going through things completely unlike what we would have thought of. It's just a safe space for men to start to gather. What comes from it will be up to you. I appreciate being in a space where we could do things like this, and being mentored and led and encouraged to work in these spaces in these ways. I truly do appreciate y'all. Aaron, thanks for everything you've done and been over the years in terms of helping get me to a place where I could have these conversations on platforms and now in actual physical spaces. Dr. Clay, we've had a couple conversations, and every single time we speak, I feel as if I might benefit from having a therapist. You do have that. Aaron, he's my bit.
It's a good thing to have.
He's my big man.
Sorry, my apologies.
Actively listen now. Actively
Sorry.
listen. Yeah. No. Really, I appreciate you and all that you're doing, and Trinidad and Tobago and Texas, right? Are lucky to have you, right? This is Ricardo Mitchell, the social stage on the global stage. Thanking you for joining us in the living room. Remember, guys, the hourglass is opaque. We don't know how much time remains, so whatever you're doing, be good, stay safe. Happy Republic Day, and hunting season is reopening. Well, let's try to have some respect for the wildlife, please. Right? Take it easy. I just saying, bigger money. That's my manikou. Stuff manikou. Yeah. Also known as Marvin Manikou. Well, yeah, do all the thing, but please remember these are still part of our ecosystem. Right? Anyway, yeah, good day. Thanks, Dr. Clay. Mr. Williams.
This is yours truly, Aaron868. I remind you each and every time that culture is my code, and that love is the currency. So spend some today. Let somebody know you love them. All right. Mr. Desmond is up next with the big band. I'm not going to be back this Friday. I would be in Tobago. Yeah.
This man say he wouldn't be in the country, I'm going to Tobago.
You know how many Trinidadians have not gone to Tobago?
I want to be in Tobago.
You know how many? We need to do a survey on that. How many Trinidadians have not been to Tobago?
Lots.
There's a lot.
There's a lot.
There are people that have gone as far as Europe, but have never been to Tobago.
That's true.
So, guys, to the True Nation station, WACK 90.1 FM. Mr. Desmond is up next with the big band. Hey, we culture crazy earlier.